Sorry, you're cancelled.
Yes, hell yes. Mr. Red Gaze, I'm a big fan. I've been watching all your videos. It's an honor to share tonight with the gaze community.
Hello. Today, I want to discuss something that has kind of been on my mind for a while. People have discussed it, and it is a disgusting topic, and something that, I just kind of wish didn't exist, and that is this effed up cancel culture we have going on today. Now, what really got me thinking on this again is the recent activity with Stephen King on Twitter, where he said simply, "I would never consider diversity in matters of art, only quality. It seems to me that to do otherwise would be wrong." Now, as you may well imagine, Stephen King was then dogpiled, just torn apart by people who, have been on his side for the longest time. SJWs, to put it plainly. He was ravaged by SJWs, and they predictably called for his cancellation. This guy who is an SJW, has been for the longest time, is suddenly under attack by his own. And that's how these things usually go with these particular types of people. Now, I like Stephen King's work. I'm not a huge fan, yeah. I mean, like most, he said some pretty stupid things on Twitter, usually with some humor involved, and he said some funny things too. It's not all political all the time, but to these people it is, and that is the problem. That's what I want to discuss. Mainly how one person says one thing to step out of line, and they're tossed to the lions. I don't agree with that. There's a lot of these people, Stephen King included, who I would be willing to give a second chance to, should he just, stop SJW behavior and conduct himself like a normal person. See, that's the difference here. The difference is hate. These people will absolutely and utterly hate you if you step out of line, whereas reasonable people will not, Yeah, you said some stupid stuff, but, you can come back around. We'll give you another shot. They can't do that. They're unable. Another recent notable SJW who's fallen victim to their own behavior is Mark Hamill. Not as an egregious offender as Stephen King in these people's views, but he didn't agree with a lot of what happened with Luke in The Last Jedi, and he made that known. He spoke his mind on it, and that really won hearts and minds of actual Star Wars fans who did not care for what happened. Now, like King, Hamill has said a lot of stupid things on Twitter in reference to mostly politics, Trump and all that. Lindsey Graham, who whatever, but but unlike these people, our side, rational people, as I like to call it, will forgive. If you come back around and you stop just being so excitable and so dramatic about everything. So extreme is the word. That's the word I'm looking for, and that's the most apt word here. Extreme. Stop being an extreme weirdo and try to be a normal person again. People are capable of that, and we've seen it from Hamill too. Yet another prominent left-leaning actress, Scarlett Johansson, had similar treatment when she was cast to play a trans person. Now, as you might imagine, the trans community and all of those orbiters who are constantly looking for something to bitch and complain about had something to say about it. Scarlett said simply, as an actor, I should be allowed to play any person or any tree or any animal because that's my job. And that's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. And you know what else? It's pretty effing true. Am I wrong? It's true. That's what these people are hired to do, is to portray things they are not. So, there was a clamor in the trans community and elsewhere, and, now the movie is not being made. Is that a win for the trans community? I would argue it is not. It is a great big failure. A big fat failure. brought to them by themselves, as most of their failures are. And this is the kind of thing that's just so stupid. Scarlett said something reasonable, and she gets attacked. That's the thing. That's the problem here. Henry Cavill, another recent example who simply fears the Me Too movement. He said, there's something wonderful about a man chasing a woman. There's a traditional approach to that which is nice. I think a woman should be wooed and chased, but maybe I'm old-fashioned for thinking that. He goes on and says it's very difficult to do that if there are certain rules in place, because then it's like, well, I don't want to go up and talk to her because I'm going to be called a rapist or something. So you're like, forget it. I'm going to call an ex-girlfriend instead and then just go back to a relationship which never really worked. But it's way safer than casting myself into the fires of hell because I'm someone in the public eye. And if I go and flirt with someone, then who knows what's going to happen. Now you really can't pursue someone further than no. It's like, okay, cool. But there's the, oh, why'd you give up? And it's like, well, because I didn't want to go to jail. Now, once again, explain to me how this is not a reasonable statement when speaking on something as unreasonable as the #MeToo movement. That's perfectly understandable. I hear exactly what he's saying, and I feel the same way. This whole cancel culture thing, and yeah, I got tongue-tied earlier, so let's just call it cancer culture, because that's really what we're dealing with here. It's effing cancer, man. This stuff is so sick and so awful. It's just, it needs to go, and that's why I think we need to talk about it. So all I'm really trying to say is precisely this. I don't believe that anybody should be quote-unquote canceled for one opinion. You've seen it countless times. These are just a handful of examples pulled from, mostly left-leaning people, just to kind of highlight the hypocrisy of it all. But, you had Paula Deen for something she said how many friggin' years ago. Just that's what people do now. They just dig through and find things that people have said years and years and years ago, sometimes 15, 20 years ago, sometimes more, and use that as a weapon to get these people canned, to get them in trouble, to get them fired from their jobs, and just kind of to make them invalid. And that's more or less what's known as canceling somebody. And it's just got to stop. It's really got to stop. I can look at a lot of these people who say the dumbest shit day in and day out, and when they say something reasonable, I can say, hey, that was reasonable. Maybe they're not a complete shitbag after all. It gives me a little bit of hope, But these people seem to be unable to do that. The cancel culture proponents will never stop. They will never stop. So what we need to do is find more people like these, like the Stephen Kings, the J.K. Rowlings, the Mark Hamills, the Scarlett Johanssons of the world. And we have to prove to them that what they're doing is right. We have to reinforce their rational and reasonable statements instead of allowing them to fall to this kind of nonsense. Now, not a lot of them actually have been completely taken down, but that's because they've been forced to retract their statements and, things like that. Just backpedal and apologize, So basically they're just bending a knee to these crazy freaks who are just all over this whole canceling people thing. It's just the most stupid and childish shit that I've ever seen, really. Oh my God, somebody said 2 sentences that is out of line with what I believe. That person should no longer be allowed to work or have a job or, be a productive member of society. That person should just disappear and wind up on the street corner, right? Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Everybody should be able to work. Everybody should be able to have a job. And that's, maybe that's part of it. A lot of these people who scream about canceling folks, don't have a job. That's probably part of their problem. But, Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I get to the point where I'm rambling about this stuff because it's so irritating. It's so stupid and just nonsensical. The point is, if somebody says something you don't agree with, just, if you feel the need to bash them over it, go ahead. If that makes you feel better. But just keep in mind, people are people. Everybody's a person. Just because these people are celebrities doesn't mean they're not actual people. And when they come out with a reasonable and rational thought like some of these, I would encourage everybody who is not a complete SJW cancel culture fanatic to support them to the fullest. Just have their back and make sure that people know that it's okay. It's okay to speak your mind, and you shouldn't have to worry about being trashed and never being able to work again because you say, I'm afraid to date because somebody might scream rape. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you're not subscribed, please do so. And also share the gays community around. We're trying to grow. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.